On the air live. All right, good. And make sure in the background I can mute it. Test it for. I got to test it for volume real quick. On the air live. Okay, good. I'm happy with that. All right. Let me just ask you guys something first. You can use rubber bands. Use whatever you need to visualize what I'm asking you. If you were to have 3 rubber bands or 3 post-tension cables, and you had one at 100, you can call it percent, or you can call it whatever you want, pounds, kips, whatever you like, doesn't matter. But I want you just to understand that it has different ratios, if you will. 100, one is at 110, one is at 120. Which one of these will fail first? Which one of these will fail first? They're all connected to the same load. 120, 110, and 100. What will experience the most forces? Think of equilibrium. Are these in equilibrium? Well, they're not. They're not in equilibrium. Let's consider everything balanced. The rest of the load is balanced, if you will. So I don't have more weight over here. Everything's normal. All the weights are equal that each one has. Which one will fail first? Well, this one has more forces on it, 120. So as you put load on the bridge and all of them everything being equal as the load is added to a structure or bridge, the 120 will experience the load first. It's pulling the most, then the 110, then the 100. So this will experience the issue first. With that said, let's jump right into the video. Let's jump into the video. This is the clean pen. Just trying to figure out how to, so I don't put things like that in my mouth. Okay, sharing a screen. We're going there now, sharing screen. Just a moment, I think. Wow, that's taking a moment. Well, that's interesting, Google. Thanks a lot. Entire screen. And does not want to share my screen. Normally there's a button here. I just press share screen. Great. Don't tell me I've got to bounce out of this whole video and start over again. Let me cancel that. Let me try again. Share screen. Google really does need to get themselves together. You know, they know how to spy on us and everything else, but their platform, they are bottom of the rung in their platform. Besides being able to put data out there as far as loading videos up, they have more issues. It's simple. All right, let's try this. Let me try something around about and then try this. Share screen. I'm at the end of this video. It will not let me share my screen. I need to share my screen to show you what's going on. Excuse me. Let's try. I'm trying. I'm waiting. Well, guys, I'm sorry. Looks like I'm going to end this and then start over. I apologize. Hey, Embry. Embry, proper attire. I apologize. I'll change back into my other clothes. Embry, I'm going to end this. I've got to. It won't let me share my screen. Thank you, Google. You're awesome. All right, so I'm going to come right back in. I'm going to end this. I don't think it might let me restart this if I do something defective, like if I try to end it a certain way wrongly. Then it says, hey, would you like to start over? Let me try this. So I'll do this. Oh, you're terrible. Come on, Google. Play fair. Application window. That might work. Oh, but it won't even let me do that. If you can hear me. Oh, wait a minute. It might. It's in the wrong window, but this might work anyway. Yeah, this will work. I don't know if you're still there, Embry. Let me see. This should come up in a second. Let me refresh this page. Embry, you still there? All right. Just a sound check for anybody. Please confirm. You can hear me. Cool. Hey, Tony. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, I'm sorry. I should put back on some other clothes. All right, so let's jump into this. First off, the update, Washington Times. Let's get rid of this. So for me to share the Washington Times article, I have to be critiquing or have their permission, and a couple other options. But I'm critiquing in this case, so they can't claim copyrights. Not for that reason, but because they are actually, I'm critiquing it. March 17th, Miami Herald on deadly Florida National University bridge collapse. So I'm going to share most of the content because I think it's fair. And sometimes you can't share all of it, even when you're critiquing. In this case, I need to be fair. The collapse of the bridge of Florida National University a year ago was a tragedy foretold. Yeah, I got to get all this junk, right? Six people were killed, 8 were injured. We know this, right? The National Transportation, NTSB, continues to investigate. The bridge's construction company, Manila Construction Management, recently filed for bankruptcy. A tangle of lawsuits must be sorted out. Okay. Who's to blame on the bridge collapse onto Southwest 8th Street? Question, right? That is yet to be determined, and families' anguish continues. Construction workers noticed the cracks in the structure, both thin and gapping. Thin and gapping or gaping, sorry. 2 P's are the way I first said it. Gaping. At least one was concerned enough to take photographs and send them to those in charge. Aha. So, guys, you remember I told you that I had to beat around the bush initially with what I knew. But now it appears that other people are getting this Washington Times. Either they watch my video or they have the access that I had access to, which was they were sending live images, photographs to the meeting. And this is what's being implied here. At least one was concerned enough to take photographs and send them to those in charge. Those were, or they could be talking about sending it somewhere else. Obviously, they can be. But I told you during that meeting, photographs were being sent to cell phones to that meeting. And Denny Pate is the one that said, hey, it's a false sense of security when they finally came about these images, when they talked about it. Interesting enough, as I'm talking to you now, think about that. What if he didn't share the images that he was receiving with the group? Whether text messages, group messages, I don't know that. I just know that the images were being sent to the meeting, but it's not specific about, was it one person, multiples getting it? Was it shared on the screen? Was it passed around on a cell phone? That's another question. But instead of acting, because then you can act ignorant, right? A bit. But instead of acting with an overabundance of caution, there appeared to be an overabundance of confidence, and this would be Denny Pate, on the part of FIG. And this is the ironic thing. FIG is represented by Denny Pate, but they beat around the bush. These Washington Times, they've got lawyers. I got a lawyer. I can't be sued if I'm not doing defamation of character or something of that nature. Denny Pate said it would not give a false sense of security. He cannot sue me because I'll be able to then sue for subpoena the records to show that it was stated in that format, that's how I got my data. And so they have to sue my source. And my source is the government source. So, which designed the bridge? All right. Manila Construction Management, the bridge construction firm, and a representative from the Florida Department of Transportation. All right. Which designed the bridge? Manila. Okay, so let's read this. But instead of acting with overabundance of caution, there appeared to be an overabundance of confidence on the part of FIG, which designed the bridge, Manila Construction Company, So now they're saying, they're throwing these people, this article is now saying that these people had overabundance of confidence. the bridge construction firm, a representative from the Florida Department of Transportation. They've taken it to the point where, they're pushing it out there to the limit now. They're not naming names, but they are. But corporations are people, so that's pushing it now. I was specifically said Denny Pate said it would give a false sense of security, and I think in my video I said the Florida Department of Transportation representative said, should we temporarily brace the bridge, brace the structure? And that's what Denny Pate's reply was. And I think it was the transportation guy that asked that question, the representatives of those, but I didn't say Manila said it, and I didn't say that because I don't have any record of Manila said that. Of course, you can probably imply that they're going along with the program, but I'm not doing that. Representatives of those three entities, with those from FIU on the morning of March 15, 2018, just before 2 p.m. that day, the bridge collapsed. At that time, workers, that's all common ground. I read that wrong, right? Representatives of those three entities met with those from the FIU on the morning of February 15, 2018. Incidentally, I was going to do a video on it, and I don't have that page open up here. We're just going to go run through these tabs. Is that FIU does hold the permit for this job. They hold the permit. I was able to get them through the FOIA request to give me the permit. They gave the permit. They're the ones then that can shut down this bridge at any time they want. They're the permitting authority. At any time they want, they can shut it down, and you have to get a court order if you try to say they're wrong, or you have to deal with them. And that would just, be craziness, right? So FIU had full authority to shut this down. Just before 2 p.m. that day, the bridge collapsed. At the time, workers were on the bridge tightening support rods, possibly to close the cracks. Okay. At the time, workers were on the bridge tightening support rods, possibly to close the cracks. 100%, I told you guys, Denny Pate said, put post tension, those members 2 and 11, put them back to where it was before the bridge was moved. Now, I had to really beat around the videos, a couple of videos on that once I got that data. But now I'm able to share it with you because of my agreement with the person. It's shared. Person's shared. So she, he, right? Maybe I Freudianly slipped. Do you think I'm like that? So anyway, the possibly to close the cracks. Denny Pate stated that he wanted that bridge, this is as is reported, stated he wanted the post-tensioning put back to where it was before the bridge was moved. So we know before it was bridged, I call it the impound, it was over there in the impound on braces, and he wanted it put back to that position. That's a whole nother statement now. You need to know what it was then, and, what do you do? But he wanted it put back right then, while it was still in place over traffic. That was his orders, as reported in the report. But FDOT from the beginning was focused on traffic, approving a quick build technique to maintain the flow of cars. This is their and though alerted to the cracks, it never closed A Street to traffic once the span was in place. This is true. If their representative is there, they were alerted to the cracks. They were in the meeting, so you can state that statement as far as I'm concerned. Preliminary reports ruled out a failure of concrete of construction. Preliminary reports. This is NTSB. Concrete or construction. Well, this is just craziness. Now, this is why I have to share their data, and why I now can critique it, and they can't do a thing about it. The Washington Times. Preliminary reports ruled out a failure of concrete or construction. Well, that's not true. Well, then it's just an act of God if you ruled out construction. Pointing to design flaws. Well, that would be the design flaws would be part of construction. But they're breaking it up. Let's see if I can work against myself a bit. If you can do that. Well, construction also deals with your failures. So how's that? As the bridge is cracking apart, you're now in construction again. You're like, wait a minute, this isn't working. You just don't keep marching on. However, FDOT should come in for an extra. FDOT should come in for extra scrutiny too. Oh, they're saying they want to scrutinize FDOT. The department initially sought to distance itself from the project, saying that it only conducted routine preliminary review. It did attempted that, and I was in support of that until I got my FOIA request. And no, FDOT was clearly had their hands all over this. So no, they're BSing it. It turns out that FDOT was far more involved, as reported by the Channel 6 investigation last year in March 2016, 2 years before the bridge fell. An FDOT engineer raised a number of concerns about the design of the department. I showed you these drawings. He circled vaguely, what about SHEAR here or whatever. It did not fit. This bridge did not fail under SHEAR as a result of SHEAR. It did not fail as a result of SHEAR. According to meeting documents, bridge design is pushed back. Okay, according to meeting documents, bridge design is pushed back, downplaying the concerns. What? Meeting documents. The bridge design is pushed back, downplaying the concern. The FDOT engineer also brought up the possibility of excessive forces, SHEAR, coming into play at the north end of the bridge. Again, designers counter that. It was not a problem. Now, let me play devil's advocate here. Maybe this bridge would have, if you add these members. Let me push this to here so I can grab it again. And let's go right to the plans. Let's jump around so I don't overwhelm you with one topic here. This is the bridge. This is number 11, where we see the beginning of the collapse around this section here. 11 is getting the most blame for mostly everything. It's got cracks in it. Again, my theorized that 11 was not under load, pretty much was lacking load, that it all went down 10 and across the bottom of the deck here and across between 10 and number 12 and then in the canopy. And I've explained that numerous times on my other channel also. We see that the bridge is being moved in this image, and this is local 10 NBC. I'm critiquing them because I think they should bring up that article lacked the ability to bring up that they didn't read the plans to show that this should have had supports all inside of it. Remember, guys, I have to critique or I have to get permission. And my critiquing has to be legitimate. I'm legitimate with my critique there. All right. That's my opinion of it. So here is number 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. It's symmetrical. Center line of the bridge, each side. So you don't have to draw this over here also. This means do that to do that. How is that important? We go to Google public the images here, and we'll get to SHEAR. I just want to show you here. And we have all of the public images out here. And we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. A total of 4. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4 pockets open that need to post tension in it. Also, they need to be grouted. Never forget, these needed to be grouted. These were ungrouted longitudinal cables. Ungrouted as far as I could find anywhere in my search. Now, let's go back to the article, and then we'll jump to this. So this is the articles over here. Now, I mentioned the how that's unsupported, right? So I've got these tabs lined up so we don't have to jump around too much besides me finding a tab. That you will see that the temporary supports of main span section shall stay in the middle of the cross section during SPMT transport. And there's a work text. Looking at the text. Give me a second. Okay. So the shall is one of the things that is not optional. Shall and must. Those are your non-optional words. And this is a non-optional word. I've been trying to find an update to this plan, but this is 417. There is no other, I've not found an amendment or addendum where the shall has been removed out of this, that they shall stay in middle of the cross section during during transportation. That brings us to the one I just critiqued, which would be this one. Do you see the supports in there? No, you do not. I did a video stating perhaps that financially they didn't want to remove them, to close the road down to remove them. But If they were in place, that would have given more bracing to the structure to allow for its completion, as the design calls for. So you can call out construction now as an issue, and that will be back to here, in the middle of the cross section during SMPT transport. It didn't remain in place. It doesn't actually say where it comes out yet, but we'll get back to that. We'll get to the tensioning, and let's jump over back to the article. According to meeting documents, bridge designers pushed back, downplaying the concern. The FDOT engineer also brought up the possibility of excess force shear, blah, blah, blah. When the bridge fell, engineers say that the failure occurred in the same area cited by the FDOT engineer months before, and that the shear was the cause. So I don't know what engineer they're talking about. Engineers, maybe they're talking about the engineers and that damn other channel, whatever it's called, tips and tricks or whatever they call themselves. The ones with the sensitive amygdalas. Let me make sure I'm getting this for you guys too. Let me make sure. So I have to click on this and see if it pops open. The audio. Getting this for you guys. Yep. Okay, cool. Loud and clear. Yep. Okay. We're good here. So we go back to this guy, wrapping it up. The gap between the email, the gap. I can't get over the play of words with gap, right? That was terrible. The gap between, so that's two between. So the guy doesn't even read his own articles twice. I thought I had a problem. This guy can write between. The gap between what emails and other records show and FDOT's arm's length responses after the collapse is disturbing. So I don't know what between means. Sometimes you can put a grammatical mistake in here to make you have an out. So that might be logistical, or it just might be a between. That's just funny, right? NTSB investigation, but I look at the logistical things of it too. NTSB investigations likely won't be finished before fall. Well, they're not up to date. They said they're already getting their summation together, the final summation. NTSB is reported saying that. The NTSB investigation likely won't be finished before fall. So I think the investigation part's done and the reports is now forthcoming is what the data I'm getting. But I could be wrong, right? But that's the data I'm getting. But the state should compel FDOT to make clear what it knew and when about FDOT. Well, the state should make clear. Well, the state's already ruled in, right? That's the darn judge. So this Washington Times is just being stupid now. They've already ruled in the state. I count the judges as part of the state. Who do they get their check from? The state. So it's in their interest to represent the state and not the people. So when they say the state, it's the judges also. The state, but the state should compel FDOT. So the state judges should compel the state themselves, and then they should start looking for a new job afterwards. It's a conflict. To go into other states. Other states, when you're suing a state, I think another state should have to represent you and decide the laws. And it shouldn't go around in a circle. So, if Pennsylvania represented Delaware, Delaware can't represent Pennsylvania. That would be just quid pro quo. It would have to be so far across from each other that they don't communicate. And no lobbying could go take place between states. Okay. This is the article they hit on. As many in the ever 5 Americans, as many as 1 in 5 Americans are trying to cope with big farmers morally. What happened here? Did I just jump? Yeah, I just jumped. Okay. All right, so that's the end of that article. Let me trash this article. It's in the trash can. And let's jump right to this guy here. This is what they're saying. SHEAR took place down here. And let's jump to SHEAR. I can find many more images, but SHEAR is, just grab this real quickly. SHEAR looks like this. It's a crossing. It's a movement. Buckling, you're getting the compressing forces. SHEAR, you're going to have some movement. I can't think of a SHEAR right now where you don't have movement, a movement. going on where one doesn't pass the other. I cannot come up with one with that. I'm trying to think of internal shear. It's still movement. I cannot come up with a shear where it's not. Everything else would be tension, compression, shear. I cannot come up with shear in this failure. And let's go to, well, I can trash that. No, that's the wrong one I'll be trashing. And the images. And we'll get to that. We'll get to them real quickly. Shear is down to number 11. You can look at the video 100 million times, and you do not see this pushing this off the base. In fact, you see this staying there. This does come down. This section here does come off. But it's not in a shearing point. A shearing point would be the failure here. We see in the video, and I'm waiting for my mouse to catch up. We see in the video a failure here and a failure here. You literally can see the member still standing up. So you see a failure here and here. That's a dead load failure. It's just the way the structure transferring its load out here, and it's resolving itself here and here on this canopy and also the deck. Sometimes I call it the umbrella for fun because it's shaped, you know, like for rain. But there is nothing going on here. And then as this pushes down, this has no choice but to break free. Shear would also require a force to create shear. And if the bridge was creating shear here, it would push it off, and it would be, that force would more likely be a buckling effect. The only shear that the other, what do they call them? Again, engineer tips and tricks, I call them, whatever they are. It would have to push this off. But doing so, you would see a lot of compression here too, and you would see some crumbling. But wait a minute, this cannot make itself longer. Remember this. You just can't push this off without all of this stuff moving over. And if it moves over, it would be you would see shear here, breaking here, or somewhere else. You would see shear in all these other bridge members. As it pushes over, for some reason they have it magically going laterally. Laterally. Let's get rid of that shear. That one's done now. They have it magically going laterally, and it does not go laterally. It's holding up great. This didn't move. This suffered this. I've looked at these images. No shear here. There's no shear here. No shear there, here, or there. So these did not move. But magically, they have this moving over. And I don't know what's up with this shear thing. I do know what's up with it. Once you make up your mind, you know my amygdala theory. Once you make up your mind, it's very hard to change your mind. You need new data. But their prides are involved. You can't change your data. It would be an attack on yourself to change your data. For example, me. You think I'm vested in my non-shear thing. I am vested in it. But if you can show me how shear took place, I will say, wow, awesome. I did not see that. I just learned something new. It would be an attack on me, yes, because I'm vested in it. There's no shear took place. But you'd have to show me a video. There's no way you're going to show me this in math. I need to see the video. So going to this awesome detail, so we can come back to that. This awesome statement here, and helping you guys out to get the rendering of this again. So here's number 11. Here's number 12. This somehow magically pushed this off, but there's no video showing it being pushed off. If it pushed off, what did it do? It didn't come back. It didn't slide back up and put itself back in position, because we see in the failure of the bridge images, we see it sitting on a pedestal. Down here, we see it sitting up here, a pedestal, the pier. And we see all these members lying where they lie. If you look at the video, and I showed in another video, I thought it was a pretty nice video. I show where the racking took place as it pushed this over just a little bit, as it had no choice as this was being pushed down. Oh, you got to see that video. You got to ask me for the link, and I'll just send it to you. That takes too long for me to run around there right now. But you can see that there is the member broken there and the member broken here. This is below number 10, and this is on the top side where it resolved itself in the canopy and in the deck. This is not broken. This has hit that part there. It hit the Jersey barrier. So the break is here and here. The break again is here. You see no breaks. The break is here at number 10 and right there. For shear to take place, they're implying that somehow magically the whole top canopy moved over, shearing this off, putting it back in place, sliding back over and falling down to here. It's just ridiculous. It's like me trying to tell you that this point here, this number was number 2, sheared this off right now. If we can visually try to make it happen, we have to make this stuff move. This doesn't just make itself longer. It's not a jack inside of it. In fact, they were compressing it at the time of the failure. So shear is my number one trigger that I find this is that they're counting on the ignorance of people not knowing, I guess, engineering, if you want to call it, or physics, or having a natural ability to use logic. All right, so just trying to bring it every which way. Here we go. So cast main superstructure as follows: cast deck. So they did a deck, and diaphragms. These are the diaphragms. The diaphragms would be this section here, is what is as defined by themselves. Cast diagonal and vertical members. That would be 1, 2, 3, all the way through 12. Install post-tension bars as shown in sheet B38. All right, so they're going to show B38. I think I have a better one for B38 lined up. Here's B38. So these are the post-tension, the bars they're talking about. There's number 11. At one point, I thought there were 2 of them. Finally got the disclosure and reading the documents. It's 4 of them inside here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait a minute. Now I'm confused again. 4, 2, and 2. No. 2 here is 4 in some of these other guys. That's what it is. It's 2 in these guys, 4 in the other. At one point, I said these weren't balanced. In one of my other videos I reviewed. I think they are balanced, but not based on their, it was their length. One was only like 1 inch longer, I think, or something when I looked at them. Something like that, but that wasn't a too crazy concern for me. After concrete compression strength has been reached 6,000 PSI, stress post-tension members of the main span in the following sequence. This is considered the main span as defined by themselves. Main span. So you're going to stress the deck longitudinal tendons D1 and D1. I think that's going to be my D1. Here's D1. When they say D1, they mean 2 D1s. They mean the D1 here on this side and the D1 on this side. From that point, they're going to go to the top of the canopy. Stress canopy longitudinal tendons C2. At that point, they're going to go to C2. So they did D1. C2 is the second one in here. So here's C2. And this is C2. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4 as you count from interior to exterior. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm thinking human body now. Posterior, interior. I'm getting a few things confused in my own little brain. So here's C2, and then we go to this guy. And zoom out. Give me a second here. I guess I could go back a tab. Maybe that'll work. Oh, there we go. So this is C1, C2, C3, C4. So this is C2, and this is C2. And they've been installed. And those are the caps for the post-tension members. Remember, no grouting is taking place, though, as far as I could tell. From that, after you do D1 and C2, D1s and C2s, you go to stress post-tension bars and diagonals, number 2 and number 11. Very, very important here. But remember, this has got temporary bracing all in it also. There's bracing all in here. This is the pre-tension, if you will, going on incidentally, not the final tension. So here's the bracing is all in this guy. Number 2 and 11 is next, though. So very, very critical that they went from only 2 post-tensioning cables in here, 2 in the bottom, 2 on the top, and they went right to 2 and 11. 2 and 11. I find that interesting. So they pull this taut and this one taut, and they work their way inbound. as I recall. So they're doing the work their way in. So here's 2 and 11, the outside. So not in the middle, the outside. So they tighten up 2 and 11. So that's where you can look at it. Stress deck longitudinal tendons in the following sequence: 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now they just go right to deck, complete the deck loading on this. So that would be here. So now they complete the deck. D2, correction. D2, D2, D3, D3, D4, D4, D5, D5, deplane, 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 D6, D6. Okay. So the deck was done next, completely knocked out, complete on the longitudinal cables, not the transverse. Stress bottom slab transverse post tensions, alternating and stressing as required for the transverse tendons. So they're going to do the transverse tendons just across this deck. I don't know if they're handy in the next one up. No, I don't want to go that far up because it's hard to find these plans. So let's come back to, great. Looks like I went that far anyway. I bounced it. And I bounced it. Awesome. Okay, here we go. All right, so the deck is totally done. Then it's totally done. Now, stress post tension bars and 3 and 10. So now you see working our way in. So they did 2 and 11. Now 3 and 10. And then stress post tension in bars number 5 and 8. They jump over 4. 4 has no tensioning in it. I think no bars in it. 5 and 8. So 3 and 10. So they jumped over 9. 9 has nothing in it either. Stress canopy longitudinal tendon, C3. Stress canopy longitudinal tendon, C3. So after they did all of that, they then jumped to C3. Up here. Here's C3. Remember 2 and 3. 3 is outbound. 3 is over here. Here's number 3, and that's number 3. Coming back to here. Temporary, and then they're very important. That's it. They're done now. Don't do anything else. This is not finished. They still have more post tensioning that needs to go in this guy, right? And then number 2 and 11 will not be distressed until the main span is complete. And that is defined. Post-tension bars and members 2 and 11 will not be grouted and will be de-stressed after main span construction is complete. Do not remove bars. See, it's never was supposed to be de-stressed. That's another construction issue then. If you can read the plans and somebody says, let's de-stress 2 and 11, you go, wait a minute. The plans state that we're not supposed to de-stress this. If you remove the false works, the plan states not to remove the false works. So somewhere there should be a change in plan saying remove the false works. Another one should say detention if for some reason they deviated from their own plans. Why? I'm thinking that the engineering in them wanted to sample, wanted to see what this thing would do like. Why? Or it could be something as simple as this communication with those people speaking all their Spanish and being from Cuba. Call it whatever you want to call it, bias. But this is a communication issue, or also just lack of skill. Stress canopy, all right. Temporary supports of the main span section shall stay in the middle of the cross section during SMPT transportation. No one's called this out. NTSB has not called this out. They said the construction is all okay, right? Well, why is this not being called out? Why is 2 and 11 not being called out as being de-stressed? Because FIU is dialed in with the government, because NTSB doesn't care about the human being. They only care about government. Governments only care about government. That's the end of this damn video. We just went round in a circle because I saw that article pop up, and I'm countering their article with facts and data that's on here. So facts and data. I don't like using the words facts too much, but facts and data that are on this report. All right, so there's your 2 and 11. So this thing wasn't finished. The post-tensioning was not complete, so it was structurally not strong enough. The canopy was not as strong as it could be to help in the supporting of the entire bridge structure. Also, the temporary supports were supposed to be in there, and the cracking is number one. When you observe that cracking, all bets are off. I mean, you just use some simple, I don't know what their issue is. Besides, that's just craziness. That's why, again, the key is Denny Pate. Denny Pate, give the guy immunity. Let him get sued for however they sue, or give him immunity as far as you want. Prosecution of criminal charges, locking him up. But trash his license and everything else. But give him immunity and say, give. Uh-oh. Looks like I quit this video just in time. Yeah. I get a little excited on a job site. So, right there, 11. It's not shearing. Whatever NTSB, I can't wait to see the report. If they stick with shearing, you already know my video. It's going to be similar to this, but all it would do would be why. It might be a video saying why the NTSB never should be trusted. Of course, we already know they should be trusted. Never trust your government. The government's just our owners. They're just our owners. Call it what you want to call it, paranoia, whatever. I can prove it. All right, I'm going to do a video next on fingerprints. Fingerprints. Do we have fingerprints on why the fingerprints so governments can track us? No, we don't have fingerprints for that. Also, related to that, fingernails. Fingernails. And before you get too excited, why do we have fingernails? Before you start telling me it's for climbing trees, well, then why do we have toenails? Why do fingernails and toenails grow at a different rate? I will tell you my magical answer in a video coming up about fingerprints. Fingerprints is what we call them, right? And that's what I'm referring to them as. But it's the texture on the end of in our palms of our hands, in our bottom surface of our hands, from the wrist forward. I'll explain why. It's beautiful. It's simple. And the same thing will apply for the foot. And that's my little teaser for my next video. I'm sorry, and for my man. And I'm also going to be offering $1,000, and you can change the price. If you tell me you want $3,000, let's negotiate on. If you want $10,000, we'll negotiate on that too. But I'm offering $1,000 for anybody that can prove gravity. And the teaser that I will be using BBC's ball, feather, and bowling ball. And I'll be using this, that they're proving gravity, they're saying, and I will actually be using their video to disprove gravity. It's going to be a fast video, but I'm offering $1,000, or you can negotiate, $10,000. If you can prove it, maybe I can make some money off it. Maybe I'll own the rights to it. You can take it up. But if you can prove gravity without owning the rights, I'll give you $1,000. If you can prove gravity. And if you think your proof is worth more than $1,000, well, write me. But I'm going to use their video while they're using it to prove gravity. And incidentally, my man was in another video I had. NASA is doing a gravity research. They make it clear that you can't prove gravity. So don't get too crazy about it. NASA does post about gravity, but then if you find their gravity studies, they're trying to prove it because they say it can't be proven. All right, so you're going to lose that one. Equilibrium, baby. It's all about equilibrium. Everything's equilibrium. It's not gravity. Gravity just is ridiculous. But I don't know how the tides happen. That's driving me crazy. And of course, NASA will tell you it's the gravity from the moon. Yet they have documents saying they documented they can't prove gravity. So there is no gravity from the moon. All right. $1,000. I'm terminating the video. Come and get my $1,000. And that one's something else I'm working on. And I don't know how to end the video. How do I end the video? We'll go here. This is terrible. And in the video, sometimes a little bit of a pain. They seem to like hiding it. All right, I'll be there in like 30 seconds. Well, I guess you guys get to watch me try to end the video forever. Come on. I know what I'm looking for. It's damn Google Hangouts. There it is. You guys know what happened there. It was these desktops. And it was second desktop, and then it was hidden behind the second desktop. So stopping the video. Take care. Oh, I guess I'm saying hello first. Or goodbye, Embry.